Kitco News special coverage of the Gold Forum Americas is brought to you by New Pacific Metals and Silver Core Metals.
First Majestic Silver is forecasting a strong uptick in production. I'm with CEO Keith Neumeyer. Keith, welcome back to Kitco.
Oh, hi, Michael. It's good seeing you again.
Keith, you're forecasting a 25% increase in production with help from Jerritt, Canyon, and St. Elena. Tell us what the status is.
Well, St. Elena is just amazing. We came into 2022 with 7 million ounces of silver equivalent production guidance, and then come July when we put our second guidance out, we predicted 9 million ounces. So really decent growth in a very short period of time, and we're looking at close to 10 million ounces of silver equivalent production in 2023 at St. Helena. Jerritt Canyon, of course, has just been in our portfolio for a year. And it's adding about 110 million ounces of gold production to our portfolio. So those two mines are really, adding the production.
One of the things that stuck out to me is that you have 120,000 meters of exploration drilling this year.
I think it's more like 250,000.
Okay.
Yeah. That 120, I think, is at Jerritt Canyon alone.
Okay, sorry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's a record exploration budget. I think we have 30 rigs currently active, throughout the 4 operations, and we're adding ounces, which is pretty important.
You do have a strong gold production that is coming out of Jerritt Canyon as well, too. Does that muddy what is happening at First Majestic Silver? Or are you still a play on silver?
Well, I think we are, of course.
Yeah.
St. Helena is also, because we're in a very high-grade gold area right now called Ermitaño. So the silver production there used to be 50-50 gold, silver, and it's more like probably 60-40 gold. And since, of course, Jerritt Canyon is 100% gold. We would love to get a nice, juicy silver mine into our portfolio, but they're just hard to find. And I think it was an important step for us in the growth of our business to step into Nevada. I think Nevada is a very exciting jurisdiction to be in, and we're building a team around the Jerritt Canyon operation, and we hope that team's going to be used in future M&A opportunities.
Well, that's a good segue. Then let's talk about M&A right now as well, too. I'm talking to you right now, and we've obviously seen the softening, which has happened in the precious metal prices. We're at the kickoff of Gold Forum Americas here. I think the last I checked, $16.70 gold and about low $19 for silver. It would probably be a good opportunity to kind of look at potential acquisitions.
Well, we are, and we never stop. I built this business. We're 19 years in now, and all the assets have been M&A. And that's how we built this company, and we're not going to stop. But it's got to be the right asset.
Mm-hmm. You've been in this business for a while, Keith, and looking at what is happening with prices and then also with the investments. How are juniors supposed to navigate this?
Being a junior, not cash flowing, it's tough times. I was just talking yesterday with a fellow, and this is reminiscent of 2015. There's some highlights out there, of course, but we're fortunate to be cash flowing. Our revenues this year will be somewhere around $700 million. So we're doing okay. Obviously higher metal prices are pretty important for all of us. But if you're a junior, it's a bit of a tough slog for sure. But this creates an opportunity for us.
Let's talk about you are chair of First Mining Gold. Talk about Du Parquet and why that was significant.
Yeah, I put First Mining Gold together back in 2015, right at the bottom of the market, and I was, timing was obviously pretty good, and I wanted to put a gold development portfolio together based in Canada, and I think, and we were very successful doing that. We sold off a couple of the assets, which created some cash to invest in Springpole, which has really become the core asset for the business. And it's in the most difficult Lassonge curve, phase where it's in the permitting phase, and we were. One of the acquisitions that we did back in 2015 gave us a 10% hold in the asset you just mentioned, Du Parquet. And since that period of time, we've been negotiating with the owners of that asset, and finally was able to put it together after 7 years of negotiation. So, now we're blessed with 2 5 million ounce projects, and one in Quebec, of course, the Du Parquet, and then one in Ontario. I don't know of any other junior mining company that's got 2 5 million ounce assets. So we're pretty blessed.
One of the top performers this year, and it's kind of stuck out given how these precious metal markets have been, has been Snowline Gold. You were a key investor back as well, too. Why is the company taken off?
Well, I helped Snowline in the early days, even before it went public.
Yeah.
I remember, meeting Scott and his father, and I decided to assist them. And, we had helicopters in the air, staking land, and it was pretty interesting. And then finally we got it public, and then raised, the sufficient amount of capital to get their first, program up and running last year. And it was an extremely successful program. I think hopefully the number's not wrong, but I think they drilled 21 holes last year, and every one of the holes hit gold. So some of them were visible gold, but they could only afford to have the one rig active. So they were successful. Scott's done a bang-up job, and he was able to raise over $25 million in the latest financing, and that allowed them to get 3 rigs active. I don't have an update on how successful the programs have been going, other than what they put out publicly. But the one hole was just an amazing hole, and if these upcoming holes are even close to what they've already announced, it's going to be a pretty significant operation or successful plan. Rumors are that could be one of the largest gold discoveries in the Yukon. We'll see if that actually works out to be that way.
Let's talk about macro, Keith. Looking through your presentation at First Majestic Silver, what's a solar carport?
There's 2 drivers of and I just did my presentation. We've got the electric car industry and the solar panel industry, which are consuming about 25% of world production of silver right now. And these are 2 relatively new industries. And it's interesting what's happening in California, where they're having rolling blackouts, and you're having difficulties in even powering or charging your electric car. So what's that going to do? It's going to drive people, I think, even more to solar panels, because if they can't rely on the grid for charging electric cars, where are they going to get the electricity? The demand for solar panels are skyrocketing. I think the latest numbers I saw was 160 million ounces of silver will be consumed this year and sold to the solar panel industry. That's a lot of silver.
Thoughts on the JPMorgan news from last month?
Well, it's long in the making. I used to work for the banks and back in the 80s, and I'm sure these trading methods are common. And they're endemic throughout the entire system, right through all the trading platforms at all the banks. And for one bank to be signaled out, it doesn't tell the whole story. These trading desks communicate with each other on a regular basis, and it's not just in the silver industry or the silver market. It's throughout all equity markets and all commodity markets. Banks and traders get together, and you call it collusion, you call it what you will. It doesn't really matter what name you put on it. But they're protecting their book, they're trading. Their job is to make money for the bank. That's what they're hired to do. So, you signal out a couple of traders, okay, well, fine. But this is endemic, as I said.
Lastly, let's go back to First Majestic. What are going to be the catalysts over the next 12 months?
Well, getting costs down at Jerritt Canyon is our real focus right now. Costs there are elevated, because of the investment that's going on. We're spending a lot of money in development and exploration there. The development is key because, that asset is only producing about 2,500 tons per day through the mill. That mill has a 5,000 ton per day capacity. So it's our job to get that mill filled. We expect to see about 3,000 tons by the end of this year. By the end of 2023, we hope to see that up to 4,000 tons per day. And then it's going to start really cash flowing. By 2024, we expect about 200,000 ounces of gold being produced, and that is compared to about 110,000 ounces this year. And that's going to drive costs down, and that's the primary focus of our business right now.
Keith, it's always a pleasure.
Great seeing you again, Michael. Thanks.
He's Keith Neumeyer with First Majestic Silver. My name is Michael McRae with Kitco Mining here at Gold Forum Americas in Colorado Springs.
Kitco News special coverage of the Gold Forum Americas is brought to you by New Pacific Metals and Silver Core Metals.